So it looks like we have some Married to Medicine reunion tea to talk about. As we speak, I'm looking to see if the reunion looks have come out because I would imagine that they will be coming out, if not today, then possibly tomorrow or early next week. Probably early next week or so, or maybe late next week. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I want to get into the tea that Dr. Heavenly discussed in her most recent YouTube live. Now, I did enjoy this YouTube live because she was able to really sort of get into some very random things that weren't necessarily show like or an episode related, right? It kind of took the place of, I guess, maybe what she and Carlos would typically do after an episode, especially since there was no new episode after this past week, right? So we had the Super Bowl and Usher and Beyonce, Alicia Keys, all that, and we didn't really have any shows. So she just kind of was on there answering some fan questions. One of the first things that she talked about is this bit of information right here. We talked about this on the channel as well. This potential that Phaedra had been, having some discussions about returning to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, we do know that casting is up in the air at this moment. Dr. Heavenly feels like Phaedra's not going anywhere. She responded to some fan questions about this. You know, I don't know at this point. I really don't know. Again, I think that Phaedra's gonna hopscotch to whatever the check cashes, and the network obviously loves her. So I just feel like Phaedra's gonna go wherever the wind blows her, to be quite honest with you. So I think time will tell about that because I would expect that we're gonna be getting more Atlanta news dropping as filming is allegedly slated to begin this spring. So who knows? Who knows? She does go on to talk about the reunion. Okay, so again, those reunion looks should be coming out very soon. She said that they did ask her recently about the designer of her gown, so she's assuming that they're putting that package together now. Um, I don't know that we'll see those reunion looks tomorrow because I know that the season finales for both, I think, Beverly Hills and Miami are occurring next week. So we still haven't seen any reunion looks from Beverly Hills yet. We've seen the reunion looks from Miami. So I'm kind of figuring the next reunion looks that we might see might be Beverly Hills, especially considering the trailer for the reunion typically comes out the Friday before the finale airs. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because they usually release these reunion looks a little sooner for like before the actual trailer airs. So I'm kind of interested to see what's coming next. But anyway, she did say that somebody looked like Baps at the reunion. Now, she said some of the people that we expected to look the best did not. In my mind, I would have expected for Phaedra to be one of the best dressed. But according to Dr. Heavenly, it's not the people you think that look the best that look the best. No, that's subjective. And we'll be able to definitely give you our rundown when that comes out because we know we like a little style and fashion talk on this channel as well, especially when it comes to reunion looks, right? So, who do y'all think look like Baps? That's going to be interesting to see. She said it's going to be very obvious. Chime down in the chatterization and let us know who it is. All right. There was some discussion about Mariah and the interview that she did with Carlos King. And basically, Dr. Heavenly alleges that Mariah says a lot of things that are not true. I don't know if maybe they're not true as much as everybody's recollection of one event can be very different. Take Case in point, we can all watch the same episode of a TV show and come away with seeing the exact same thing. The exact same thing was played, but we could all see it very, very differently. Which is why the comments after a recap are always a shambles because not everybody always agrees. And I don't expect you to always agree with me because, listen, my opinion is my opinion from the perspective of someone who has worked in news and who has done reality television. So that's my opinion. I'm also pulling from my own life experiences. So, we're all going to come into this with a little bit of our own personal biases as well. So maybe Mariah isn't necessarily being not truthful if we look at it from the lens that Dr. Heavenly is speaking, but maybe she has a different viewpoint of the same events. One thing that Dr. Heavenly is clear on is that Mariah would go around telling people allegedly that they were fired. Like apparently she fired Toya. Now, I don't know if this happened this firing happened after the fight. I would need some more clarity from Dr. Heavenly about that. I had been trying to hold off on interviewing um Dr. Heavenly specifically because I wanted to get to a point in the season where I felt like I had a lot of genuine questions and a lot of questions I feel like are being already answered in the recaps that she does with Carlos, which is great. But there are now some different questions that I'm finding myself having, and we'll discuss some of those in this video. One of those being that she doesn't feel like Sweet Tea is a good fit for Married to Medicine, but that she's good for TV and maybe just another show. So, my question is when did Dr. Heavenly begin to feel this way? Something seemed to happen that dramatically shifted Dr. Heavenly's thought process about this. Case in point, at the beginning of the season, I remember that she did a live with Sweet Tea to kind of like, maybe introduce us to, who Sweet Tea was. By that point in time, the season had filmed. She had already cursed Dr. Jackie out. So what changed between then and now, outside of Sweet Tea responding to some of the things that have been said on the show and on YouTube? Like, what changed? Because it seemed like, and again, I know I'm missing something. I know there's a missing element that I'm maybe not getting from watching the videos, other than maybe some threats that could have happened at the reunion, threats from, maybe Sweet Tea's family. I don't really know. I'm trying to ascertain what was the change that made it now such that you were all, not only you, Dr. Heavenly, but everybody seemed so gung ho for her to be a part of the cast. Was it only for the quad of it all, or was it for the fact that you thought she might make good TV? And then what happened after she obviously made the TV that changed your perception of of whether or not she fits or belongs or not? I personally feel like the dynamic between two differing age groups and the dynamic between the doctors and the doctors' wives is it really harkens back to what Mariah talked about the premise of the show actually was for her. So, in that regard, the disparity in the age and the disparity in the wife and the actual doctor, I kind of feel like that tension is probably more prevalent with Sweet Tea on the show than not. Otherwise, it would literally be the same old arguments time and time again. There was also there's been a lot of talk about people saying that Sweet Tea should respect Dr. Jackie because Dr. Jackie is 60 years old and Sweet Tea is 30 something years old. Again, I've already stated this for me. My thought is once we become coworkers, then that bit of I'm going to place you in a position of reverence kind of disappears. If we're coworkers now, we have to be coworkers before it is anything about me being subservient to you because you are older. Whereas in real life, I'm definitely going to give reverence to somebody who is older. But I don't really have that many people who are older that I feel like are disrespecting me either. I don't even put myself in those positions. So I feel like if a coworker who happens to be older is disrespecting you, you do have a right to defend yourself. Otherwise, that puts Dr. Jackie, who it seems is the oldest, in a position where no one would be able to come at her in a way that was aggressive. That's kind of what it seems like. If everybody has to bow down to Dr. Jackie because of her age, then that doesn't make for a good show because it basically puts Dr. Jackie on a pedestal for which we have seen there's a danger in that, right? Because the more everyone puts her on this pedestal, like nobody can touch her, especially some young new person, then what is the purpose of her being on the show if she is untouchable? And I don't know that it's Jackie that's making her untouchable as much as it may be the opinions of everybody else on the show. Because from my vantage point, the moment you become cast members and co-stars, everybody's on equal footing and it's equal game across the board. But I feel like it's wrong to put her in a position to where she can't come back at Dr. Jackie when in fact Dr. Simone and Dr. Heavenly can spend however many episodes arguing, screaming, cursing at each other such that the police are called, which we did find out via the live happened. So I guess I just don't understand that logic. It doesn't resonate with me, but it does resonate with a lot of you. So, there obviously is something to it that I need to maybe, pray about. And I will. Don't take this to mean that I don't like Dr. Jackie because I think Dr. Jackie is a very hardworking, beautiful, um, just I feel like I have respect for who she is in her profession, but she's still a cast member on a reality TV show. Okay. We cannot forget that. And so she is there to do the reality entertaining as well. It doesn't mean that she's absolved from it. And I don't care how old she is at that point, because if you feel like at a certain age you can't be around or you too good to be around some other people, then and and these other people are going to be on the show, that's again what creates tension on these shows because you have those two different age groups. Another great example for those of you guys who may be really interested in Housewives is to look at when Gretchen first came on the Real Housewives of Orange County. Granted, social media wasn't as what it is today, but there was an interesting disparity there between, you know, Gretchen coming in as this sort of young, effervescent, like, kind of a kept, housewife or girlfriend. I can't remember if it was that, by a much older man. And then, there was the contrast with Vicky, who was older, in age, right? When I say older, that's just the fact, right? And I don't mean that in a negative way or in any age shaming way, but we're speaking specifically about facts. There was a natural tension there because Vicky's like, well, does she work? Does she work? That was Vicky's thing. Does she work? Does she work? Because Vicky works. She's a workhorse. She has an insurance company. So I think that this, to me, with the sweet tea and the Dr. Jackie, is par for the course for what I would want to see on a show like this. So I disagree with that personally. She says that there are things behind the scene. Dr. Heavenly says that there are things behind the scenes that Quad and Mariah have both done, particularly Quad, that she needs to fix. So I'm assuming that maybe this is with production. Maybe there's some like level of disrespect that she's witnessed there. I really don't know. What I do know is that Quad and Dr. Heavenly seem to be in a very good space now. So at least that has been fixed, which I am extremely excited about because I do feel like they're quite a good duo together. but we still don't know about Phaedra and Quad. So I guess we'll find that out soon enough. Um, Apparently Toya at some point in time kissed Quad. Did we know that? And Eugene got up and left the room. This interesting tension between Quad and Toya, and then finding out that they kissed. I need to know when it happened and under what context and circumstances. Were they drunk? And apparently it was Toya that kissed Quad. Okay. She made that very, very clear. And so it leads me to wonder what it is with Quad that Toya cannot seem to get over. Side note, I should probably save this for a different video, but the live that I think it was the last live that Phaedra did with like Toya and Dr. Heavenly, Dr. Heavenly and Toya really got into it about Dr. Jackie, and Toya feeling some kind of way about Dr. Jackie feeling like she was going to be, her and Eugene were going to be the ones bringing up stuff about their infidelity on the trip. And Toya had some very strong words to say. She said, "It's not the location that you should be mad at, Dr. Jackie. It's your husband." And I, to a certain degree, could identify with that. Now, because I think looking at it from the certain perspective, like you don't know where they went. You don't know where all they were. They could have been in Atlanta. You gonna move from Atlanta? I mean, they could have been all. They could have been down to the DR. Who know? I don't know where all they went. Okay, allegedly. Let me put the alleged badge up here. But in my mind, I'm like, I mean, you gonna be, listen, I agree with Toya. Toya said this: the moment you agreed to stay in the marriage and work it through, you have got to let it go. You've got to let it go, Elsa. If you're deciding that you want to stay in this situation with this man, because listen, and I feel like for a lot of people, till death do us part is a very real thing, and it come heck or high water, we're gonna work it out. And so I just kind of feel like I don't blame Dr. Jackie for staying, but at a certain point in time, 7 years later, or however many years later, where are we? When are we going to drop the location as that being the thing? Because that wasn't it, right? But again, I personally cannot say this shouldn't trigger you, because if it does, it does. But it does make me wonder, if it's still triggering to you, then are you really over it? Anyway, speaking of Dr. Jackie, Dr. Heavenly did not remove the controversial Dr. Jackie and interview where they spoke about, well, Dr. Jackie kind of spoke about, um, some things that definitely made people upset. I can't even remember exactly what she said, to be honest with you. But a lot of black women were particularly upset, and we talked a lot about it at the time, um, because Dr. Heavenly says they left it up because there was so much other valuable information there. And honestly, I don't blame it. J- Did y'all know? Speaking of fixing things on the internet, did y'all know when you go to the NFL page, and we talked about this in our Super Bowl recap, that note that Alicia Keys started off with, they have gone and fixed that thing. So when you go to the NFL, if I remember, I'm gonna put the link in the description of this video. When you go back to the NFL now and look at the Super Bowl, like the whole thing of Usher's performance, that note that Alicia Keys lost and could not find, baby, she found it. Okay, and well, the editors found it, and they edited that thing so where it is seamless. Like, she sounds flawless. Okay, and I don't listen. I ain't mad at it, girl. I would have been doing the same thing. Yo, somebody gonna fix that, okay? But anyway, unlike Alicia, Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Jackie have chosen to leave that video up, okay? Which, to be honest with you, I always feel like once somebody apologizes, I am under the belief that I just gotta let it go, because at least you apologize. Whether I like how you did it or not, you did it. So boom. Um, Speaking of reunion, okay. She believes that some of the newbies flopped at the reunion. But interestingly enough, she says someone, and I'm assuming a newbie, made such a splash that she could see them coming back to see, so that the you know the to that the maybe the producers can see what she really can do, right? She did mention this person and an age gap, and that they don't have the coins or the same lifestyle that the rest of the ladies had. And to be honest with you, that sounds a little like how they tried to position Quad circa season one. I'm telling you guys, if you go back and watch the history of this show, you will understand why I find so many of these dynamics that are playing out now so odd and ironic and funny, right? Because the positioning of Quad that first season was of some underling who could barely tolerate to be around. She was not their cup of tea. She was not their flavor. Okay, no pun intended. She was not the fabulous one of the group to them. Okay, and they treated her as such. And the irony is to look at Quad now. It just goes to show that you don't know where a person will be in a few years. You can't foresee it. And the fact that Quad became a fan favorite is very interesting to me, especially in retrospect with how they treated her, right? So back to this newbie that she felt like could made a splash at the reunion, or at least tried to. I think that she was talking about Sweet Tea. All right. So if it were me and I were to ask Dr. Heavenly any question, it would be, what was the breakdown moment between her and Sweet Tea that really led the two of them to this point? I know that we initially joked about get a little access to the money and little things that happened in the beginning, but was it one particular thing that sort of set them off on the different path? Because I think what we saw was a gradual decline in their relationship, but what was the real turn that got us here? Because when I noticed Dr. Heavenly speak about Sweet Tea cursing out Dr. Jackie, it just never seemed like a problem until this episode aired. Like, I don't know. Is that me? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Um, Maybe also it is too that Dr. Heavenly is just riding or dying for Dr. Jackie. I can't be mad at that. I honestly can't. Now, it may seem a little biased, but people call me biased all the time, and it really doesn't bother me. Like when I first started, at first I was like biased. I mean, but at the end of the day, I don't care if you think that I'm biased. That's not why I'm doing this. Yes, everybody comes into a situation with personal biases, so I can't fault Dr. Heavenly for rocking with Dr. Jackie the way she does, because if she does, she does. Like, I would rather have a friend like that than not. In fact, I want all my friends to be like that. Yes, ride hard for me, regardless of whether I'm right or wrong. Okay, you correct me in private, but in the public, make sure you got my back. Okay, that's what I want. So I'm not. I can't be mad at that. I can't be. So if it's that, and if it's that she wanted to, just really ride for Quad because she felt somewhat differently than how the episodes kind of led, and she does allude to also too that something that Quad did to her really set her off. So I'm assuming we'll find that out at the reunion. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna miss that about Atlanta, in that without Candy, I don't know that we're gonna be getting that level of behind the scenes tea anymore. And it just saddens me. But Portia's back, so I'm fine. And Candy still has our YouTube channel, so we're still going to be getting our Candy that we like and we love. So I'm okay at least with that. Um, she does feel like the cast will not change and that everybody is coming back, but maybe one lady would not come back if Quad left. Maybe one lady would come back if Quad left, but she thinks that Quad will be back. Mariah said a similar thing. She felt like they wanted to humble Quad, which possibly they probably did want to. She feels like Sweet Tea and Dr. G have chemistry, but she doesn't know that they will go the distance because she doesn't feel like he respects her. This is something that, based on what we see on the television, I can definitely understand and agree with. I do not feel like Dr. G had her back in the thing with Dr. Jackie in the way that I would have wanted him to, the way that I would think that a husband should ride for you in that situation. Um, but to be fair, he did at least chastise her in the privacy of their room and not in front of everybody else. But the way Dr. Heavenly makes it seem like stuff happens at the reunion that she felt like made it feel like that's a disrespectful relationship. And I do have to wonder, like, does the man who marries the woman who is maybe 20 years his junior, does he really respect her in the same way that he might with someone who is his same age? I think that's a very valid question, right? I personally do. Like, it's a human question, you know? Side note, I'm taking my time with this today because I like these levels, these types of conversations. I would have done this live, but I be feeling like YouTube is funny with my lives sometimes. So I'm just going, and you guys can also follow me on the Face Place as well. I do post my videos on the Face Place. All right. And I know what I'm saying when I say Face Place. Get with the program. Get to know me. Okay. Anyway, she feels like, as an example of Sweet Tea not necessarily being a good fit for their group, is that she brought up Ike Turner, and I guess Sweet Tea didn't know who that was. And I feel like, again, that's why I like it, because I do feel like that there's a natural tension there. What they need to bring on is a friend for Sweet Tea. Now, somebody who is also her same age that can also kind of have her back a little bit. That's what I think. Because it ain't Dr. Alicia. Lord, Dr. Alicia, you're cute. Okay, you're real cute. What Cardi B say? You're real beaut, right? But at the end of the day, like it takes. I mean, maybe they're just not showing you, because Dr. Heavenly does also say that it was Dr. Alicia who had the most compelling storyline this season, which goes to show, like, I mean, can I, production, can I shadow y'all for a day? I just want to see, like, what really goes down, down to the business. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would really love to do, like a show where I go and I follow the production of the show and see what really happens and how it's done. Like, I have my own ideas because I've had my own experience. But I think it's different for an ensemble cast. I didn't have an ensemble. It was just me. Though my only ensemble was my friends. And still, even then, the focus was me. So I don't know. I just want to see what it's like and how they craft the stories and really what they edit. How do you edit? Why did you edit something out that clearly everybody else felt like was the cat's meow, but y'all didn't see it? Okay. And I know we only got 42 minutes per episode because we're also counting the commercials and stuff like that. So you can't fit in everything. So you got to tell kind of an abbreviated story, right? All right. Apparently also she mentioned something about they're gonna talk about the Enfamil at the reunion. I guess maybe she has some Enfamil in her closet. I mean, in her pantry or something. I don't know. See, what I thought was interesting about this is people will notice the Enfamil in her pantry, but to me, it's less interesting that she has stuff in her pantry, because I can't stand to see an empty apartment. So I would rather see random stuff in the background to know that you actually live there. Where it boggles my mind when I see Toya's. Now I feel like that ain't really Toya's bedroom, real bedroom that they be filming in. Because listen, I get it, girl. Like, why why should I let you into my boudoir? You know what I'm saying? I'm letting you into everything else because I feel like Toya, like her or loathe her, Toya gives us the real. Like, I ain't feeling it. I'm not here for this date. And it does come across as spoiled, but it fulfills the persona of what we would expect, I think, for this show to be about, which is something Mariah also echoed, right? So but I would just be wondering, like, I'd be noticing when ain't nothing in the room. Like, that's when I have a problem. Like, do you live there? You know what I'm saying? So Toya, if you be filming in a spare room, girl, paint that room and put some production approved photos on the wall, and or get some a local artist to paint you something. Get them kids to paint something. Put a lamp in the room, maybe a little table and an end table or something like that. You know, or something in the room like a humidifier, a plant. Yeah, listen, I don't care, a mood light, a lava lamp. I don't know, something. Just put something in that dang on room. I'm tired of looking at them white walls. So anyway, um, she also says that she does not think Anila should come back at all, and I am in 100% agreement with that. Um, Dr. Heavenly says there is no pay hierarchy on Married to Medicine. It really goes by the season that you come in, and you kind of get the same pay bump that everybody else would have gotten for that particular season. So, like, let's say you get a pay bump for season. I'm assuming what she means is there's like a standard pay bump that you would get as you continue to go up, because they want to minimize the amount of negotiations, so that this way it feels equitable. Um, so I guess the idea would be to use Sweet Tea as an example, and maybe Dr. Alicia is they're coming in and they're probably making like the $3,000 to $1,500 per episode amount. I could be wrong. That is the standard, I think, amount for a first season, but at least from my understanding. Okay. So anyway, apparently Dr. Alicia, who like she said had the most compelling storyline this season, also tried to come at Dr. Heavenly and Toya at the reunion, but I think Dr. Heavenly said she kind of gave her nothing, and she doesn't feel like, but she don't feel like Alicia was really given a fair shake. But also, I feel like there's some language that Dr. Heavenly is using, I think, with even Alicia, that feels like what I don't want to hear is like, I'm not going to give her anything. And I feel like maybe she felt like she was doing Sweet Tea a favor by giving her so much energy in the beginning. And now it's Sweet Tea took that in a way that was more negative and clapped back in her own way, and it wasn't appreciated. I don't know, but the language that she used when she said she didn't give her anything, I mean, it's a choice. You know what I'm saying? I think as a cast member, like, girl, I see what you're trying to do, and I'm not gonna give it to you because it don't seem authentic. If that's what she's talking about, I can 100% stand by that, because when people get to that reunion, they will try it, baby, because they know that's their last stand. But shoot, if we ain't seen you all season, then you giving a stand-up performance at the reunion, I don't know, unless you're gonna pull a soliloquy like Portia did at the season 5 reunion. I don't know. I really don't know, because I think what's happening with Alicia is there is a disconnect between what either she is communicating, and being filmed, and what is being presented for the audience to consume. Because I don't understand the dynamic between her and her husband as being problematic. She keeps saying she's very independent. He keeps saying that he feels like the women should be somewhat submissive, but they're married and it's working. So what the problem is? Because I don't really care what your, like, you can have Neanderthal opinions and whatnot, but you are married to an independent woman. So what does it matter? Like, it works for them. So what's the problem? Also, regarding someone asked Dr. Heavenly if it was true, as Sweet Tea had allegedly mentioned, that the day where Sweet Tea had on her Texas Hold'em, this ain't Texas, Hold'em hat, and she was having shots with Dr. Heavenly, it was alleged that by Sweet Tea that Dr. Heavenly was having water shots, and Sweet Tea was having the tequila. But Sweet Tea thought that they were both getting drunk. Now, let me say this. Yes, I would. I rookie mistake is probably drinking too much on camera, right? But It's a rookie mistake I made. I can't falter for that, right? Also, too, usually when two people are having shots, it's really in the spirit of togetherness, right? Granted, I am infamous for trying to convince all of my friends to take shots. And then after I've done my shots, okay, if somebody else suggests it and they try to do it again, because listen, well, you can't repeat it, okay? But when they try to do it again, then I'm probably gonna get some water shots because I just can't. I can't do shots like I used to, okay? But I still want everybody else to have a good time because I'm the fun master. But what Dr. Heavenly didn't do was answer the question, okay? I needed her to say yes or no. Okay, girl, did you have water? Okay, let me know. Girl, what's tea? You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at you if you did. Now, because we still got a good old scene out of it and whatnot, and it just tells me that you smart enough to know what to do. But I can also see where Sweet Tea might feel a certain type way about that. Like, oh, you get me drunk getting all my tea. But Dr. Heavenly said, girl, she had to tell that girl to stop talking during the scene because as they were taking shots, Sweet Tea was apparently talking a little too much. So there's that. So I need to know, Dr. Heavenly, did you have anything? Was you drinking water or 1942? Okay. Or the Casamigos with all the people drinking these days. You know what I'm saying? When did Casamigos become a thing? Was it a Drake song or something like that? That's what I feel like. Anyway, so that's the tea that we got for y'all right now. Y'all know I love a good conversation. I love a good old slow drag, not a slow number on in the music. What I'm saying, I love a good deep dive conversation like this. I'm gonna probably try to do more of these because this is where I get the most joy. I've noticed. Like I came onto this episode. I had my head was banging. That headache and went to the back of my mind. Norman, can you believe that? Sometimes I guess when you got a headache, you need to distract yourself. That's a good metaphor for life. When you having thoughts of negativity and whatnot and whoop and then you replace that thought with something different, dang it, your whole mindset can change. Doggone it, we got a word for the day. Norman, write that down for the book. Oh yes, baby. We not only writing the fiction books, baby. This year we coming with the nonfiction too. We talking anxiety, we talking, depression and getting through and through, baby. We doing it all. I'm doing everything. Anyway, that's my TED Talk for today. That's the tea on the reunion for Married to Medicine that we got from Dr. Heavenly. Again, if you like reality TV related content, you like a good old Ponderosa conversation like this, go ahead and tap that like button. Chime down with your thoughts as well. I love reading y'all thoughts. I be laughing, and sometimes y'all take me out with some of y'all comments, baby. These comments, sometimes y'all get me together in the most fun way. I love it when y'all just tell me something good and I just can't help but laugh. It brightens my day. So with that being said, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video.